Hey, welcome or welcome back to Through Nikki's Lens. I am Nikki and I have another video for you today. Have you been wondering what test results you can use if it is that you did multiple tests for your PR application? Well, I have some information that I want to share with you. I did not know that this was possible, but I recently learned about it and I got it from a credible source. And I wanted to share this with you just in case you were wondering. Let's get into the video. So, I have a previous video where I went through and I spoke of what the CELPIP test and the IELTS test was. I did a comparison and gave my opinion about which test you should choose for your permanent residency application, be it express entry or the non-express entry route or whatever other route you want to choose to get your permanent residency for Canada. So, just to give you a little bit of a background information as to which tests that IRCC accepts for a permanent residency application. Forgive me for looking on my notes because I don't know the full name of each test. It's something that's not easy to remember as far as I am concerned, so I have to look at them. So there are three designated tests in Canada that IRCC accepts for your PR application, and they are CELPIP, which is Canadian English Language Proficiency Index Program. That's CELPIP. IELTS is the International English Language Testing System. There is a new one that they recently started to accept, I believe in 2024. Forgive me for the wrong date. And that is PTE Core, and that's Pearson Test of English. So I will insert a screenshot above of the tests, and they have tests for English as well as to determine your French ability. So for French, you can do TEF Canada. And I will not even dare to try the French pronunciation because I cannot speak French. Okay. So what's important for you to also note is that your language test results for permanent residency is valid for 2 years. And when you are creating your express entry profile, your test results should be no more than 2 years old. So they should be valid at the time that you're creating your express entry profile. So I got some information from IRCC's website. You know I love going to the source when I'm sharing information about Canadian immigration. And on IRCC's website, they said that we will verify the test results with the testing organization to prove your language skills. So they ensure that the test results that you provide to them are actually valid. Your test results should be valid, that is less than 2 years old, when you create your express entry profile, as well as when you apply for permanent residence. One thing to note, once it is that you get your invitation to apply, that's your ITA for express entry, and I think it would be the same thing if you are applying for PR for any other program. But let me just stick with express entry because that's what I know for sure. Once you submit your express entry, your PR application through express entry, it is your test results is locked in. Even if your test results expire after you have submitted it, then because you submitted your PR application before your test results became expired, they will honor that test result and you don't have to redo it unless, and this is not something I'm wishing on anyone, if it is that they deem that you do not qualify for express entry for whatever reason, or they reject your PR application and you have to go back into the pool, then you would have to redo the language test and ensure that it is valid when you're creating your express entry profile and when you are applying for PR. If it is that your test results should expire after going into the pool for whatever reason, you can always redo the test and update your express entry profile. So your express entry profile, according to IRCC's details from their website, is valid for 12 months. Make sure that your language results are valid for the same period. So they recommend that you have at least 1 year validity, or that same duration validity as your express entry profile, because if your test results should be nearing expiration or it expires, then your profile will automatically become ineligible. You have to redo the language test, as I was mentioning before, and recreate your profile. If your test results expire soon, you should retake the test and update your express entry profile with your new results. So if your test result is valid for less than the duration of the time that you need to be in the pool, that is for 12 months, it's nearing expiration, it's recommended that you redo that test, and then you update your profile so your profile doesn't become ineligible because your test result is expired. So let's get into the reason for this video. Some persons might have done multiple language tests for whatever reason. Maybe you did the test, for example, I'm biased to CELPIP because I prefer CELPIP over IELTS. Say you did the CELPIP test and you didn't do as good as you expected or wanted to do, because you know that the higher your test results is the more CRS points that you get in express entry. You choose to redo the test to get a higher result. But when you do the test, you notice that you got lower scores than you got before. Can you use your first test result, or are you stuck with the second language results that you actually received? I learned recently, as I mentioned, that you can choose to use whichever one of the tests that you prefer, as long as both of them are the test results that you have, they are valid. So the main question: should you use your most recent test results, or can you use the test with the highest score as long as the test results are valid? So the answer is yes, you can use the test result with the highest score as long as it is valid. So if your first test scores were better than the second one, you can choose to use the first test scores. I want you to take into consideration these tips. And the first one, if it is possible, and especially when it comes to express entry, and you're choosing to use your first results, or if you have multiple results, whichever result you're choosing to utilize for your PR application, you would put in that details into your express entry profile, as well as into, once you get the invitation to apply, in your PR application. What you have to do is you can choose to do this, that is, choose to write a letter of explanation, an LOE, to explain to IRCC that yes, I do have multiple results, they're all valid, but I want to choose to use this one. The reason is that whichever organization you choose to do the test with, CELPIP, PTE, or IELTS, they will all report your test results to IRCC, because when you are doing the test, they generally ask you what's the reason for the test, and you would say for immigration purposes, so they will send your test results to IRCC directly. You now have to put in your information in your profile, in your application, and IRCC will verify the results with the organization. So if you have multiple test results, you can understand that definitely you have to specify which one you want to use, as long as they are valid. So let them know in that letter of explanation you have done multiple tests, you want to use whichever one, and because it's the highest score or whatever it is, and you ask them to ignore the previous results or the other results that you have. Ensure that you enter the test information correctly and you do not mix your details from your previous test or whatever it is. You don't make a mistake in your profile. Choose to use valid scores for whichever test that allows you to be qualified for whichever program you want to apply for your permanent residency under. You would understand that for express entry, there is a language benchmark based on your scores. So each program will detail and tell you what your language benchmark should be. If it is, say, for example, 5, if it is 6, if it's 7, and for express entry, depending on the program, there is a minimum benchmark that you need to have for your test results. So ensure that whichever results you're using for your profile, whichever results you're using for your PR application, you meet the minimum requirements, language requirements for that program. I have another tip. If it is that you can afford to do multiple tests, say you want to do IELTS, you want to do CELPIP, you want to do PTE, you can do this if you can afford to, as I said before, because you may do better on one test than the other. You may do better on IELTS for whatever reason, or the reverse is true. You may do better on the CELPIP test. So if you can do multiple ones, you go ahead and do them, and then choose the test with the highest scores and use that for your profile or your express entry or whatever PR application. My final tip to you is not to mix your test results. That is, if it is that you have multiple test results, you don't choose to use the speaking from, say, CELPIP or the writing from IELTS, or I hope I'm not losing you. You did multiple CELPIP tests and you got a good score for speaking in one of the tests, you got a good score for writing in another, and you want to combine the test results. That is not possible. You have to use the writing, the speaking, the reading, and the listening for one test. So don't mix your test results if you have multiple test scores. Whichever one is the highest for you, you use that one so that it helps you to maximize your comprehensive ranking score. I want to thank you so much for your time, for watching this video to the end. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to my channel. Please go ahead and like this video. Don't just watch the video, like the video, share it with someone if you find it useful to share with somebody else. Tell somebody about my channel. I want to thank you so much for making it through Nikki's Lens, and I'll see you in my next video.